handle the truth.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to this special episode, this special premiere. This is Thomas Freeme here, and this is the Thomas Freeme TV and podcast show. Tonight, I will be introducing a Miss Sarah DeArmond. And who she is and how I ran across her was through Instagram, and it happened to be through the James Griffin case. She caught wind of it and started spreading it on her program, which again is the beauty of social media, because it's connecting us that are out here fighting and not really, trying to bring exposure to ourselves, because we're just so busy out here fighting. That it just connects us in this, in these fashions. So I watched some of her. I dig her style. So we're going to give it a test run and see what we got going on. What we're going to be doing is just bringing exposure to cases around the country of wrongful convictions, innocence, people who just cannot get their voices out there. Me being a pillar of truth as much as I possibly can, I find it my responsibility to try to weave through some of these things because we're going to have people that are going to come out and claim to be innocent. And, me being the person that I am, I also want to protect the communities from these as well. So it's really just trying to find the ones that are truly innocent, truly wrongfully convicted, because there's so many of them out there. And hopefully that's what we can do with this show. Let's see where that goes. So before I bring Sarah on, let me just say my blessings to all my subscribers, all my followers, all the survivors, all the inflicted by Hurricane Ian. God bless you guys. I pray the best for you. We're here in Tampa Bay. We're www.cominghomecoalition.com, a local community charity here in the Tampa Bay area. We are taking donations to help the homeless that have been, hindered by this. Getting these guys fresh new clothes, things of that nature, shoes, waters, just the whole like. So if you can, please visit www.cominghomecoalition.com. Let me get Sarah in here, because as from tonight, Tuesday's show, James was supposed to call. He is calling tonight. It is confirmed. So let me get her in here before he calls. And bam, there she goes. Miss Sarah, what's going on?
Hi, glad to be here.
Glad to have you here, man. Glad that we could finally connect. I know you probably lost faith in me a couple times, because I reached out and told you I was going to connect and do this, but
it's all good.
It's life is hectic, man, and I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted. So I'm gonna give you the floor for a minute just to introduce yourself to my viewers and maybe your viewers who may have tuned in and before James calls. So the floor is yours, Ma.
My name is Sarah DeArmond, and I have my own nonprofit, voicelessbehindbars.org, where we raise money to help pay for the wrongfully convicted legal fees. They're tax deductible, and
No, that's amazing and that's cool. So we had talked briefly a little bit last night about why our interest had peaked in the directions that they have, and you had told me that upon sharing that hold on, I think I just got a text from Okay, yeah, James is ready to call. But you had shared that what really inflicted you was the George Floyd incident that kind of changed a path in your life. Hmm. Now, I wanted to ask you because what was it about that incident that shook you? Was it the exposure, the realization? Hmm. No, that's awesome, and I'm glad that you shared that in that fashion, and that's really what I wanted you to speak on because it was the shock of it, right? The realization, the shock to you of things that were going on that we in the lesser fortunate neighborhoods was seeing all the time. I mean, they've been rapping about this since the early '80s. You know, people have been trying to explain about what goes on in the neighborhoods, and then for whatever reason, it was George Floyd. I mean, there's been numerous other videos, but for whatever reason, it was the George Floyd. You know, may he rest in peace on that. And with that being said, I do have James on the phone now. James, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
How you doing, partner?
Well, still taking day by day and trying to hope for justice.
No question, man. So you're on the Thomas Freed Me TV and podcast show. We are live, and I do have Miss Sarah DeArmond. Is that how you pronounce it? DeArmond. Okay, Miss Sarah DeArmond.
Right. Tell everyone I said hello out there.
No, I mean, you tell them. You tell them, partner.
Oh, they're listening? Well, I just want to tell everyone hello, and you already know my name, and I just hopefully that someone is out there listening and really take heed to this conversation because it's about life. It's about humanity. And it's about a denial to due process.
And that's what I want to focus on tonight's discussion because we only have a half an hour to try to fit all of this in. But tonight's discussion is really going to be centralized upon the fact of the wrongdoing between the prosecutor and key witnesses against you. Now, there were 2 witnesses against you at trial. How many witnesses ultimately were against you at trial?
3.
So 3 people testified. Who were those 3 people?
Well, that was Demetrius, Melissa, and Natasha.
Okay. And Demetrius, Melissa, and then Natasha. And who is Demetrius?
He's a cousin of mine, family member. Yeah.
Okay. And Melissa?
Melissa was a fiance to Michi.
Okay. And Natasha?
And she was just somebody that hung around.
Okay, so all three of these people knew specifically you personally.
Well, not personally, but just over time, they did. Got to know me a little bit. They don't, yeah, over time.
Well, I guess what my question is these
I really know.
what my question is, James, is these weren't people that were just random witnesses of the crime, but that these were people that knew who you were.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
They could, yes.
Right. Okay, so Sarah, do you have anything with that?
No, not really.
Hold on one second. Hold on, because I don't think you guys can hear each other, and I got a note that we can't hear Sarah. It might be on my end. Let me see. Sarah, let me get something from you. Sarah, can you speak?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Okay, I think I got you now.
Okay.
Okay. Now, 1 second, James. So what was your question now, Sarah?
I was wondering about Melissa. She was engaged to one of your cousins, right?
Melissa was engaged to one of your cousins, yes? James?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
And why was she asked to be a witness?
And why was she asked to be a witness, James?
Well, you need to ask her that question. That's the question she has to ask.
Now, I got I already got an affidavit from Melissa, and her statement was that her boyfriend, Michi, which is the cousin of James, pretty much pressured her into doing something that she did not want to do.
Okay, I'd forgotten about that. Okay.
Yeah, the environment that they were in, there was heavy drug abuse. Mm-hmm. You're talking about somebody that's trying to get out of their crime, things of that nature, that type of environment. And she was pretty much coerced and pressured into doing something that she did not want to do, which ultimately led into, all of the violations that occurred in bringing her down to the courthouse to testify against this man because she just did not want to go do it.
Well, my question was to everybody out there, and you, so because I know they're listening, did she admit that she lied about what she had said?
No, she still does not admit that she lied, and she sticks to the fact that she told the truth. However, what's relevant to the fact is that she said that she was not there. She said, at the end of the day, I was not there. I just said what I've heard and what they told me to say.
So how did she get this information, did she say?
Well, that's what she said, is that she just repeated what she heard from Michi, what Michi told her to say, and what was told from, what was proffered to her when they drug her down to the courthouse to testify against you that day. They stuck that statement that she was supposed to say in front of her and told her, now this is what you're supposed to say. Make sure you memorize it. Make sure you get it right. Before she went on the stand.
Okay, because I know your viewers want to know, did I say these things to her? Did she say that?
No, she did not say that you said it to her.
I didn't hear that in the interview.
No. These are things that Michi had told her. And from the story of when Michi's dad came in and told her to hold the bag, this whatever was inside of this bag, which to my conclusion, it was the recording device where Michi's dad was trying to get out of it by pinning it on you ultimately, knowing that this recording device was in this bag, and he's trying to create this story by telling it and getting other people to agree with what he's saying because he's saying it, if that makes sense.
Okay. Was there any reports to this anywhere that to support that Crutchfield's father had actually said this, or anything to support what she's saying at all, that this even took place?
Nothing that I've ran across other than her saying it, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know why she would lie. To me, she has no reason to lie. She has no.
Okay, tell your viewers why, because we all would like to know that.
Why she has no reason to lie?
Yes.
She has no reason to lie because she was a third party in all of this, who at this point in her life has just, the viewers have to keep in mind this is 20 years old. So this is a person who has went on with her life, raising her children, and does not want any part of anything that occurred. She's not with your cousin anymore. There's no influence over this person. She's a proclaimed lover of God now, and she just wants to right her wrongs. So
okay.
Go ahead.
Does she realize that she in this? So does she feel any remorse that a guy has lost almost 20 years of his life in prison behind this?
I'll let Sarah answer this with me as well, because I think she has heard that interview. But I would say yes, and I would say this is why she is cooperating with me in the way that she is, because she does feel horrible about this whole situation. But it was just Go ahead.
I was going to say, okay, that's a good point. Could you elaborate that to your viewers?
Well, with the fact that she feels horrible about all of this because she knew, and this is what she said in her statement, was that she knew that it was wrong. She was wrong. She did not want to do it from the beginning. She told Michi that she didn't want no part of that. She knew that it wasn't going to turn out good. She didn't want any part of it, and they had to come kick down her door, pull her out of the house, handcuff her, drag her down to the courthouse. A 2-hour ride in the back of the car was embarrassing her and calling her all kinds of names, which, again...
Is there any proof to that?
Just other than her word. And, I guess what can kind of collaborate that in a way would be Michi's...
You have talked for 15 minutes for a total cost of $2.10. This message is at no cost. You may continue speaking now.
Would be Michi's statement when he talks about how they came in the house that time. So, I mean, you have two people saying the same, essentially the same story. And these are the same two people, so be it, that testified they were government witnesses. Their word was bond inside of the courtroom. You know what I mean? To convict the man for 2 decades and a half. You know what I mean?
And the reason why, and I'm glad, and the reason why I asked that, because I know your viewers, along with my own self, would want to know that, why did she go so far, knowing that? I mean, it's just because I want her to know, if she's out there listening, I'm not angry with her. I'm not mad at her about it. I'm upset with the officials that I know corruptly took my life away from me and destroyed everything that means something to me and my family. Okay? Now, all I want from Melissa to do is just to come and tell the truth about what these people had did, what these people had made her and her husband do. Because it's real important that people know the truth on what actually took place with her and these officers. People want to know. I want to know.
Sarah, what you got, Sarah?
What I gathered from the brief time we talked and from what the interview I listened to, yes, she's sorry, but she seems, and yes, she was polite to me, and I know I can't force her to do anything, but she seems rather eager to put this behind her. And like I said, I can't force her to do anything, but if I know me personally, I'm not putting myself on a pedestal, but me personally, if I put someone behind bars, I would be doing everything I could to right that wrong. So
Yeah. What Sarah essentially said, James, was that, you know, her gathering of watching the video was, yeah, she seemed somewhat empathetic, but in her view, you know, if she put somebody behind bars, she would be doing everything in her power to try to get this man out. And you know, for all of those who have been in this situation, man, this is a tough situation that the government puts us in. This is some of what I'm trying to expose to our communities about how our communities get tore apart. Family members get tore apart. Like, families are destroyed by stuff like this right here. Because essentially this is what we're talking about, is family. Like these were cousins, and as Melissa said in her deposition, like, this was her family. Like, she grew up with these people. She was with these people every day. You know what I mean? And I understand that. Just and it destroys, because what happens is when these incidences occur, it brings you down to the fight or flight. It's me or them. And 9 times out of 10, most people are going to say, you know what, I'm just going to save my own ass, right or wrong. You know, that was a decision I had to make in going to taking the federal government to trial on a conspiracy charge. I had to look myself in the eyes, in my own mirror, and ask myself, am I fight or flight? You know, and I chose fight, and everybody else chose flight, and they all testified against me. So it comes down to that, and we stay rooted in that, because, again, at the end of the day, this is a person who she's by herself. She has no family help from what I've gathered. She has she's, you know, children, and her concerns at this point is, you know, myself and my protection first. And it's just a hard rock.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Elaborate on that to people.
So when it comes down to it, when in my experience, right, when it comes down to these people and they end up testifying, they end up being a rat, essentially, right? They end up becoming a government witness and working with the government. These people have sold their soul, right? It has broken these people, especially when you're dealing with our kind that comes from the street, that comes from the hood, because that is the number one no-no. Like, that's the number one no-no. You know what I mean? So when we are forced to resort to that degree of depravity, it breaks us and it changes us, because we know that we are forever labeled a rat. We know that we can never go back into the hood. These are one of the major decision factors of me when I was looking myself in my eyes that day, was like, yeah, but it's, if I snitch, it's a prison either way. Yeah, I don't go to prison for that long, but I'm going to be incarcerated for the rest of my life, because down in my gut, no matter how many people I try to fool, I know I'm a rat.
Yeah. Well, not to cut you off on that statement, but, you know, there's two differences from somebody telling the truth and somebody just making a story up to make it sound like the truth. Okay? And what matters is the truth. And the truth is something that a person has an option at the beginning to do. Okay?
That's right.
People know the difference from right and wrong. Okay? And there's no excuse for it. Just like an innocent man and a guilty man. And I tell any man from doing these 20 years in prison, there's no difference. If you're guilty, own it. If you're innocent, stand on it.
That's right.
There's no in between.
And I guess my point of the whole matter, James, is that it's, again, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing, is to bring exposure to what the government is doing to us. Going back to what it was like, I don't fault Melissa other than the fact of putting herself in this type of life's position. You know what I mean? Just like I'll blame a rat for the same thing. You know what I mean? Man, there's no excuse for you to rat. You put yourself in that position. You know what I mean? You put yourself in that position. But to me, it's the government, it's these prosecutors that are putting us in these positions because they didn't care about Melissa. All they cared about was getting this notorious crime off their back, finding a black man and putting him in prison so that they can get this white prominent man off their back who's now paralyzed. God bless his soul for what he had to endure and go through and end his life dealing with this whole situation. You know what I mean? But he played his part in all of this as well. You know what I mean?
He should have, Thomas, your viewers need to know, he should have known what he's seen before he put a race or any kind of identity on somebody he know he did not see. That's a human life was in that courtroom. It's a human life that's every day has never forgotten the feeling of being in that courtroom when everybody in that courtroom was racially against him. And that was me. Okay? Not because I did this crime. It was because I was a black man that they knew that the state of Kansas wanted. You know that yourself.
How many black people were in the courtroom during your trial?
Nobody but me.
You were the only black person in that courtroom during that whole trial.
I was the only black man in that courtroom, or there was no black women in that courtroom. Only person who was in that courtroom was everybody else but my race, and that was white.
Okay.
And I complained about it.
Well, all right. So the incident at hand, right? I got off track, but what we wanted to focus on tonight was the fact that the Brady violation that occurred, the unconstitutionality that occurred, was the fact that deals were made with Michi, who was your cousin, and his girlfriend, who he pressured into testifying against you with this story, right? That they were coerced and gave deals and awarded for their testimony against you. This is how all of this started, right? And that's even how Michi even recanted his statement in his letter that everything that he said was false.
Please, people, view this when Thomas Freeman puts that out there for you.
I'm correct in what I'm saying, right?
Doing the right thing.
So it's understanding that whether we can't even decide, we can't even think about this man's guilt or innocence because he never even got a fair trial. That is what is the most important element of this right here, is the fact that he did not even get a fair trial to even allow for that guilt or innocent verdict to come in because witnesses were solicited. See, and that is the importance, is that me as a defendant, I cannot go out and solicit James and Sarah as character witnesses. I can't go to them and say, listen, guys, I'll give you $500 a piece if you come in and you just say this here for me. You know what I mean? I need witnesses. Why? Because I can cover up murders that way. I can produce alibis that way. So I'm not allowed to do it. But yet the prosecutor and the lead investigators, the lead federal agents, they all do this. They get together with these public defenders who are trying to make a little path for themselves, and they pressure them as well. You know what I mean? These public defenders, they know that when you become a public defender, you play the game and maybe you can get into a firm, right?
You know what? You saying that statement, being a white man, if they knew that you was talking like that and you came into their courtroom, they would have definitely had officers rush you up out of that courtroom.
Well,
definitely would.
Well, that's what I said on the Tuesday show, was that if I was in the courtroom that day, I would have busted that case wide open, because these people would have factored me in as black, trying to guess my race over an audio clip that I would have played from the back and then came out, they would have seen I was as what they call white. And now
People,
what?
did you hear that?
Now what can you say?
People, did you hear that?
So that, I mean, this goes into this the whole discussion, you know, and like that Sarah is beautifully bringing out on her Instagram and whatnot, but like exactly what does black sound like?
His lawyer should have challenged that. His lawyer should have said, "Can you elaborate?"
You know what? And tell that woman I really respect her because she's a real warrior at heart, and she believes in fighting for people like us that's been wrongfully convicted. We need people like her.
We do. And what makes her so special is the fact that, you know, this is just an average American citizen. She is the example of who I'm imploring our American citizens to stand up and take a stand. If you have time, if you have the ability to make you some TikToks, review some cases, look at some things, bring some awareness to some people that are not getting aware, you know, it helps tremendously, because then what happens is it allows for organizations like myself, other organizations to come in, swoop in, and bring these people in and bring awareness to what it is that you're doing, you know. But without that, like Sarah, she's just doing this because something came over her. It was, again, George Floyd. Something came over her, and she wanted to get involved, and that's what my applause goes to for her. For me, you already know it's vengeance for me.
Tell your viewers why you so dedicated to making sure you see justice in this case, Thomas. They want to hear that out there.
My dedication to your case specifically, or just the corruption in your case?
Just period, my case.
Well, just because of the atrocity within, and I can completely, I mean, your case is really threefold why I'm sticking it out with you. But the main thing is the fact that when I went through my federal trial, first and foremost, and I saw that federal prosecutor, right, Pamela Marsh out of Florida, okay, Middle District of Florida,
You
Pamela
have
Marsh.
talked for 30 minutes for a total cost of $4.20. This message is at no cost. You may continue speaking now.
When I saw that she had more power in that courtroom than what that federal judge did, and that and just everything that was going on inside of that courtroom, I knew at that moment what was happening to me, right? I knew in that moment what was happening to me, and it was out of my control, and it was all based upon my ignorance of the law at that time. So during my federal incarceration, I spent 10 years in the law library, 8 hours a day, studying my case, studying other people's case. And I just started running across so much corruption in these cases. And it was just unbelievable. And you're talking people with 40, 50 years, 80 years, since they were 18, 23. It's just crazy. So that is what led me into doing what it is that I'm doing, which ultimately led me to James, which I think was an act of God. You know what I mean? You'll have to go and catch my prior episode, you know, where in the world is Trisha Joe at, to truly understand how James and I became connected. But this is a family who has been taken for $20,000, right? $20,000 that this family has given to somebody that they trusted to fight for them, who was off smoking dope with their money, who had this family believe that she was a paralegal, you know, and left this family penniless, right, to continue on with what you're hearing go on today. So I came in on the tail end. I had to be the one to break the news to them, and these people just met me, you know what I mean? And I vowed that I would stick it with them and not let them go, man, because they paid their dues.
Your viewers want to know, Thomas, do you believe in my fight for what I believe, what's going on here? Do you stand strong with that? Is it in your heart to know what you believe and what you're fighting for right now in this case? That's what I need to know. That's what your viewers want to know.
No question, because I saw it firsthand. And my viewers, if my viewers have been following me, they've heard it firsthand when Melissa said that I asked her 3 times. 3 times I asked her, did these people make a deal with you to get this man out of jail in order for testimony against this man? She said, yes, yes, yes. Was that disclosed in the court? Was that brought up at trial? Was the jury made aware that deals were made behind closed doors for their testimony? They were not. That is Brady. That is Brady versus the United States. That is a Brady violation. That is unconstitutional. That makes the jury bias. It sways their decision. And it ultimately does not give this man a fair trial. That's why Brady violations are unconstitutional. And that's why the whole case gets thrown out. Right or wrong, guilt or innocent, doesn't matter. Sarah, I got to let you get in, man, and then we got to get out of here. We went a little overtime, which I kind of knew that we would. But get in here, Sarah, and James can't. I got to fix all of this here, where we all can hear each other. But
it just drives me crazy that his lawyer didn't say elaborate when he said, I identify his voice because he sounded black. His lawyer should have said something, elaborate. What does that mean? That drives me crazy.
Well, what Sarah's saying is just she's just flabbergasted. She's in shock by the fact that the attorney did not question the fact as to what does black mean. But it's just understanding that, again, what the public has to understand is this public defender he knew what he was doing. He was just to sit there and let what happened. And that was it. His public defender told James in a closed room. Now, James told me this here, and there's no way to prove it. Speculation. But I know it to be true because I've heard it 1,000 times in the courthouse. But they needed a black man. They needed a black man, and James fit the profile. This is what they told this man. His own attorney told him that. So how's he going to defend him? Right? What happened to the blindfold? There is no report of the blindfold anywhere in the reports. Bob is just saying he was blindfolded. How'd you get blindfolded, Bob? Where'd the blindfold come from, Bob?
That's what your viewers need to hear you talk like.
Where the blindfold come from, Bob? I mean, the first reporting officer that came on the scene, he filed the report. He was the first responding officer, and he even filed his report so meticulously, the fact that he was so observant that there was one shell casing on the floor that as paramedics and stuff was now coming around Bob, right? They were coming around Bob. He was scared that the shell casing was going to get stepped on, trampled on, whatever. But there's still no report of a blindfold. Now, I could be missing something. I don't know. Maybe there's some I don't know. All I know is from what I've went through, there's no reports. I don't know how Bob got blindfolded. I don't know. But he said it at trial, and there was no question to it. There was no question to it. They used the only evidence that they had really to pin this man to the scene of the crime was his vehicle. And they specifically pointed out to the fact that the tent had the bubble tent, the cheap tent, like they put it on in the garage somewhere. Now, I interview one of other James's alibis who was not introduced to trial because his public defender did not go and question this woman, but this woman was holding out for 20 years, right, to try to sway the court about this man's innocence. And when she enlightened me to the fact that James had a nice Mazda 626, you know what I mean? Clean. And when I asked Rasha, what was the one thing, if I asked you what stood out on James' car, like what is it that you would say it was? And she said the rims, like he had these rims, shine, chrome, big, Now, if you're describing a car, right, to the police, and you have big shiny rims, why is that not mentioned? Why is it the tint? There's just too many things that the public defender, like Sarah said, the public defender didn't ask anything.
That's why it was all orchestrated. And if people start really looking into this case, they'll see, that there's no way around the fact is that everybody had to be involved, and the judge too, because if you read these trial transcripts, people, it's all in the paperwork, that it would amaze you to know that how would your your judicial system do a human life the way they did me. You would not believe it till you see it.
And it's a scripted play. And this is what I'm trying to bring awareness to. You know, the thing with our judges, our judicial system, you know, yeah, there's a lot of judges that are making money off this system. But I think the majority of our judges are like the inhibiting father, the inhibiting mother. Like they know what's going on. They just don't want no parts of it. They're just going to follow by their book and make their rulings and just kind of sit off in the breeze somewhere and not make anything too controversial. You know what I mean? But I think that all judges know what goes on behind closed doors. They just don't want it in front of them. And I think these prosecutors and these investigators know that as well. Like if they get a certain judge on a case, they'll fly straight. But again, that goes into the manipulation of the courtroom is removing them. The prosecutor will come in and ask for a change of venue if there's a judge on there that they don't want. That's how much power the prosecutor has. They can have that judge removed and have another judge that they want put on that case.
But you know what? We still got to realize we are the people. We the one takes control of that. We need to start standing together, speaking up, and going against this, and speaking about this, and going nationally with this together. This will stop. I didn't really take, you know, the advantage of the gift of knowing that I had rights to stand up against people like this. I didn't never know because it was never in my lifestyle to even concern myself with these issues until I've been forced to. Now I'm being forced in the reality to have to know what democracy creates these people. We are the people. We the one has to do something. We the one that has to say something. We have to stand up together. I keep saying that because it's something in my heart that I had to keep doing for years now, to realize that the only way I'm going to make change is change myself to get other people to realize what I'm saying here. That's all.
Yeah, and with that, James, we're gonna wrap this up, partner, and let our people get on to Thursday night football, man. You know how it is. These people want to be entertained, but we love you, brother, and stay strong. And I'm gonna get with Laura and figure out what to do about getting out there, partner.
Yeah, we need to get you out there because this governor race is coming up, and they're having the events next week. I need you down here. I need you down here to you know, spokesperson me up and to let them know, you know, like the issues we talking about tonight, you know, and
that's right. And I'm ready.
Voice our concerns, you know.
I'm ready, but brother, you go in, get you a good night's sleep, man, and get you some rest, partner, and we'll just carry on tomorrow, okay?
Okay. Tell Sarah thanks so much for being here, and it's a gift for her just knowing that she's in this fight with us.
Yeah, she can hear you. You just can't hear her. Sarah, what you got for James?
I'm sticking around. I'm glad to be here.
She says she's down like 4 flat tires, man. All right, partner, you take it easy, all right?
Okay.
All right, bless.
Man.
So, Sarah, I took up most of that time, man. Go ahead and take us out.
All right. Well, I can't wait to break down more cases with you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's wrongful convictions are very common. It always shocks people, but they're so common. And I cannot wait to break down more with you. And hopefully we can raise more awareness, bring justice to more people. And again, you can find me at It's Sarah Only, all one word, on Instagram and TikTok. And my nonprofit, again, is called Voiceless Behind Bars.
Yep, I have your link up under your picture.
Thank you.
And absolutely, thank you for joining us. And this will probably be a new Thursday night show. I think Sarah and I'll kick it together each Thursday night at 8 p.m. And we'll just do this, man. We'll just go over cases. So if you have a loved one that needs awareness brought to their case, reach out to us. She gave you her address. You know me, Thomas Freeme. You could just Google that right there. Get a hold of me on any of the social media platforms. Please, once again, visit www.cominghomecoalition.com. For the charities that we got going on there, visit the announcements page, and also visit my sponsors down at the end. See if any of them can do good for you. Until that, Sarah, thank you, man.
Thank you.
You did great. You were awesome just sitting there listening to me talk. Nah, but we're going to have a lot coming, man. I feel it. So
do I.
Next Thursday night, man. Stay safe, Sarah. I'll see you.
Thank you.
And if you see anybody I know, you tell them I said what's up.
Absolutely.